again, 1 in a million, my body was deformed. It was not plastic surgery. It was putting me back to some semblance of normalcy. So again, I am happy to share those pictures. So I feel like I am a great candidate to talk about fertility issues and writing, because I do it it all. It's really fresh in my mind. I needed the bike. I mean, sometimes I chose a ride, and sometimes to this day, I choose the ride based on how much I need to cry that day. I know that's okay. That's what I need to do.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 216. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. Thank you.
You're welcome.
She rescued me at work today.
I did.
I got to work. Now, I know people lock themselves out of their car all the time.
Yeah,
right?
it happens.
That happens.
It happens.
That's, but I don't know what I did or how I did it, but I got to work. I drove to work.
Mm-hmm.
And
all the way.
I'm in the parking spot. I throw my car in park. I turn it off. I go to grab my keys my keys aren't in the car.
You guys will never know what it's like to get a call that says, I have a weird question from Tom. Because that could mean so many things.
I was like, so I got a weird question. Are my keys hanging on the hook in the garage? And she's just like, well, why? You're at work, dipshit. Of course they're not. And I'm just like, maybe humor me. Because I've already looked under my seat and I checked my pockets and in my little cooler. I bring all my soda to work with. And sure enough, my car did not beep at me. It didn't put up a thing on the screen that said, your key fob's not in the car.
No.
Nothing. And so I'm like,
I'm just glad you didn't stop for gas.
I know, right?
I mean, I could have still rescued you.
Yeah, I guess I'd have been closer.
It would have been more time sensitive,
yeah,
though.
but I was just like, bring whenever, because I got to work. So just, but yeah, so thank you.
You're welcome.
I have no idea how that occurred. So.
Well, I'm glad it was you and not me, because as a girl, I never would have heard the end of it. You like to tease me, and
what?
I feel
when
like...
When have I ever teased you?
I feel like I never would have heard the end of it, ever. So for everyone listening, feel free to drop Tom a message and tease him, because I get teased mercilessly.
I'm going to get cyberbullied by a social media influencer.
Well, you have to influence people for that to be a thing.
Well, hopefully you influence people a little bit, because we sell advertising now.
Okay. I'm a social suggester.
Oh, okay. Wait, does that mean you're online being suggestive?
No.
Wait, I think that's worse.
No, it isn't.
Do you have an OnlyFans I don't know about?
So see what I mean? You found a way to turn this around and make it my thing. So everybody, double down now on Tom. That's what I'm saying right there.
I'll just start my own OnlyFans, and then I'll probably get locked out of it and need your help to get back in. So now that I've turned everyone's stomach by the thought of me having an OnlyFans, what pray tell do you have in store for people this week?
We have some interesting discussions that need to happen regarding Peloton's competition. So there's going to be a whole discussion about that.
Yes.
And that, of course, John Mills will be joining us for. We had a stop from Dr. Jenn, and she's going to talk to people about how to get back on the fitness wagon after you've been off for a long time.
Okay.
And then we also are going to talk about Peloton Australia, and we're going to talk about MetPro. This week, it's how to get in enough protein when you're a vegetarian, because that requires a whole set of skills. It's
totally.
different. And then, of course, Peloton news.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. And you could also leave a review if you would be so kind, just so people know that maybe
please.
we're worth checking out. We have a new review.
Ooh.
This is from Neil H.
Okay.
And it says, a must for every Peloton fan.
Aw.
That's
I like
it.
Neil.
Yeah. So short and sweet. So if you've been thinking about leaving a review and you're like, I don't know what to, you don't have to write a book. I mean, it's
No.
great when people say all sorts of nice things.
I mean,
and
we
go
love
on.
nice things.
Yeah, but you can just be like, this is a great show. Bump, done. So, anywho, where was I at in the shameless plugs? Oh, yeah, Facebook, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. It's a great way to stay up to date on breaking news throughout the week as stories or news articles drop. And you can also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/theclipout. All the episodes are posted there in beautiful HD glory. And finally, if you want these articles, pictures, stories sent to you in one easy to digest, sign up for the newsletter at theclipout.com.
It's right over on the right. It says subscribe now.
Actually, as soon as you log in, you get a little pop-up that says boom.
That's true. You
So,
do.
Couldn't make it easier.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Run, lift, and live with John Mills.
So joining us via the magic of ZoomTube, it's John Mills. Hey, John, how's it going?
What is going on?
All right.
Man, there is all sorts of stuff for you this week. This
A
is
lot
your,
of stuff.
your
That's what's
time
going on.
to shine.
Yeah.
So no
All
pressure.
kinds of stuff.
I hope you
All
got your
kinds of
talking
excitement.
shoes on.
Wait,
Oh, yeah.
talking shoes?
Yep. I know John has a lot of shoes, so I just assume
I
I just
there's a
don't-
talking pair.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Need
Just
to use them for the talking
whatever.
portion.
Remember how we were going to make fun of you during this episode? Shut up.
That was something.
I have a lot of.
That was something you were trying to get started. It's like Mean Girls. Like fetch isn't going to be a thing, Crystal.
This is what I deal with, John. Wow. Wow. All right.
So I guess let's begin.
Oh, that was clever. Sorry.
Welcome to the last episode of the Clip Out.
I love this episode already.
So Peloton Interactive falls after Wedbush. Okay.
That's the name of the. That's an investment firm.
Yeah. It's when you really like it.
Oh my god.
Wedbush.
Oh my god.
Warns on decelerating engagement.
Yeah.
I don't know what Wedbush is, but I'm making up all sorts of things in
It's
my head.
Wedbush on Seeking Alpha, so let your brain go crazy.
yeah.
It's your favorite places.
Well, Wedbush Securities. And they have an analyst. His name is James Hardeman. And
Hard.
He is.
Okay.
It all plays, right?
I don't think this is a real article you found. I think you've been punked. Do the kids still do that? Are the kids still doing the punking these days?
I don't know.
This
I
is
don't know.
This is too nerdy to be punking.
You got me wondering now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hardeman at
But-
Wedbush says the Peloton stock is going to take a pounding. Profits
We've
will
been
be
duped.
gushing.
We've been duped. We've been duped. I kind of, I've seen, see now I can't even remember what I'm going to say. I've seen James Hardeman speak on this topic many times over the last 2 years.
Okay.
So I think he's real.
Okay.
But anyways, commonly he's been like huge Peloton advocate.
Yeah, that's
And
that's
so-
why we're covering it, Tom.
Okay, so he's a big proponent.
Yes.
Yes. And so anytime, even during earnings calls, he like throws the softball questions out there, and he's always like the next day reporting on the positive spin on
Okay.
whatever they've stated.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
And so that to me is what makes this story interesting, is that all of a sudden he's like, maybe we should all pump the brakes. That's not his normal MO.
So here's my question: is where is the data that their engagement is dropping? Have we seen other articles? I have not noticed any other stories about that. This is the first time I've heard that thrown out there.
He said that Wedbush tends to monitor a handful of metrics, and I don't know where he gathers them. But one of them, he says, is engagement relative to Peloton challenges. So I don't know how he's getting that, if he's getting that directly from Peloton. I don't know where he's getting that information. And he's talking in terms that there's less participation relative to challenges. And then he's also saying that year over year, looking at June of 2020 versus June of 2021.
Well,
hang on.
There's growth, but just not at the same clip as we've been used to relative to Peloton. It's like he's saying it's a clear deceleration in social media engagement.
Yeah, I still don't know if that's a fair metric, right? Like, I mean,
right.
This time last year, the pandemic was going crazy, and I know numbers are going up again, but like, it's not throwing fear into the public in the same way. America kind of collectively has just said, F it, you know?
Right.
But so the fact that they're showing growth, but it's not as fast when people are going back to doing regular things, and this is the time of year where people are typically going to do outside exercises if at all possible. So that might cost you a workout or two on your Peloton. Like I
absolutely.
Yeah, I kind of feel like everybody is just wanting to be outside. But I think that this paired with another, there was another article that covered this, and they indicated that it's because people are going back to the gym in higher numbers than expected. And I think that's because people are just desperate to leave their homes for any reason.
Yeah.
And that could be a reason they're not as engaged on social media either, because they're doing things. Last year you had a completely captive audience.
Right.
We were like, put that shit on ESPN. Yes, we will watch it.
Yes.
And we all watched that.
We watched it. I don't know if everybody would watch it this year. I mean, people certainly would, but would they get the same engagement they did last year? I kind of feel like not, you know? But I don't know if that's as much about Peloton's deceleration as it is the sign of where we are as a country, as a world.
And to put it into context, like when I watched him actually talk to this as well, not just the written article.
Okay.
And he makes it really clear, like Peloton's up here, nobody's really close to him.
Right.
And there's still growth. Like he's trying to make the point that before it was just this kind of unheard of type of explosion of growth, and he's just saying it's come down to kind of a normal clip. So he tries to kind of clarify what he's saying.
Sure.
He's not acting like something horrible's happening. And he also speaks to the same thing that you guys talked about with regards to it being because people are hitting the gym, we're hitting the summer season, and all the normal stuff. But he's just saying we're just not as used to that with Peloton, given what we've seen.
And even the stock price, while a $15 drop is significant, it went from 130 to 115 as a target. Like, that's not from a stock that came out of the gate at 29 and went down. Like that's still a pretty great place to be.
Yes.
I mean, I know that you always, especially if you're a stockholder or you work there, you always want it to higher, but it's not like he's just like, it's over.
No, and I think the title is a little misleading. It's a little misleading and kind of makes it sound worse than it is.
Yeah.
But
he
didn't write the title.
Right. That's right. That's right. And then he also kind of talks to the tread and how we had the issue with the Tread Plus, and we're still kind of waiting for the tread to drop, and that market is much larger than the bike market, and we kind of have to see what's going to happen there. He talked about how he doesn't know if the market really knows the difference between the Tread Plus and the Tread when Peloton talks about their Tread products.
Yeah,
so they may
fair.
think about the issue with the Tread Plus when they released the Tread.
Yeah.
And he's not sure how that's going to play. So he just saw this as the way he describes it. It's like he's just saying, let's just pause and let's see what happens. It's kind of a pause for a second.
I just want to use this opportunity to tell people that the regular Tread has been forecast to come back on the market from mid-July to the end of July. The Tread Plus, the original, the big boy, if you will, there is no date yet. I've been getting that question like on the daily. by multiple people. So while you were talking about it, I thought I'd throw it in there because somebody will ask me that question. So maybe I'll help them.
Stop that by 10% or so. Yeah.
I mean, it's confusing to your point. And when I tell people that, I say it just the way I did just now because there so many people are confused by the Tread versus the Tread Plus. They get them inversed all the time.
Right.
And it's super confusing. So
that's exactly what James Hardeman said. Exactly those terms is what he produced. And so he was saying in that confusion, how is that going to play in the space? And let's kind of pump the brakes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were speaking about how he mentioned that he doesn't really feel like Peloton has any real competitors.
Because Peloton's way up here.
Yeah, so let's talk about one of their not real competitors. iFit, there's lots of iFit stuff there.
Yeah.
They're at least, I don't know that they're bringing the heat, but they're bringing the lukewarm.
No, I gotta say, I'm just gonna go ahead and make a prediction. They are bringing the heat. I'm not saying they're gonna be successful, but as we talk through these next 3 items, I will go on the record as saying they are making a solid play, the best play by any competitor I have seen.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right. Yes.
So yeah, we'll start with how they've expanded their presence in digital fitness with Sweat acquisition,
which is gross. It sounds like they bought sweat, like sweat dripping off of a person.
Yes.
Maybe I should have heard of Sweat. I had
never heard of it either.
Sweat. But
it's some kind of like female owned like boutique fitness thing. Is that right?
The way I read it, they produce content for a bunch of different disciplines.
Okay.
It seemed like they had yoga and Pilates and a bunch of different disciplines that they had, and they're based out of Australia. So I got the impression that this was a twofold play. Like they were trying to get those disciplines added to their portfolio of categories that they can offer. But I'm kind of thinking that they're kind of looking to get more ties to that Australian market too.
Absolutely.
And maybe that's why we're not familiar with it.
That totally could be.
Because maybe it's a bigger deal down under than it is here.
That would make a lot of sense. Like it's a company we've never heard of because it's not American.
See, what I thought it was at first, I know how like Jay-Z invested in, what did he invest in?
The Climber.
The Climber. And then now Pitbull is with Echelon. I thought this was something, Sweat was something CNC Music Factory had launched. Is that not the case?
No,
okay.
No.
I'm agree to disagree.
Okay, so that's iFit Part 1.
Yes.
That's iFit Part 1.
So moving right along.
And this is what you were
like.
Oh, go ahead.
No, iFit. I know they have over 1 million subscribers, and I know with that play, I'm sure they're trying to boost those numbers, and I know they're trying to go public later this year. So I think they're jockeying. I think everyone's jockeying for how close they can get into competition, how much market share they can take.
No, I think you're right. I just think that based on what we've seen in the past from other competitors, they have more money and they have more, I think savvy to put toward it. And I still don't feel like it's a threat at this point. Like I wouldn't go that far, but I would say they're trying, and it's an actual serious effort.
It's like we said in the past, they won't be Pepsi to Peloton's Coke, but they might be RC Cola.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then also, so iFit announced that they've partnered up with Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
Who famously overcame his battle with glaucoma.
I didn't get it.
Oh.
Does he smoke weed?
A lot.
Oh.
Yeah. But I just think it's really funny that, like, I mean, Michael Phelps is a big deal and a good get for them, but it's also funny because he's a guy that's been in the past.
He's been singing the praises of Peloton.
Very vocal about his love of Peloton.
Well, what's that face, John? Tell us what that face meant. What does that mean?
No, it doesn't mean anything bad. I know. It's just the simple fact, like you just said, he's not the first one.
No.
The first celebrity that we've seen where we saw them like heavy on Peloton. I think Kevin Hart, we saw that way, right? He was heavy Peloton bike. We would see him on Instagram
And tread.
Peloton
And tread.
and the tread. And next thing we know, he's like an investor in like 2 other competing companies. Like I think, so that's probably the face you saw. It's like, yeah, this is kind of a common thing.
Yeah.
It is. And I think it's just, it's more notable because in my mind, it's more notable for 2 reasons. One, because again, it's iFit. And
Right.
again, they're really trying to make some waves here. And 2, because Michael Phelps was really one of the first athletes that people knew about on the Peloton leaderboard, the Olympic athletes. Like that was one of the first people I can remember in my Peloton journey that people being like, holy shit, Michael Phelps
Right.
is on this leaderboard. And so I feel like that's notable for that reason as well.
Yeah, so it sounds like, I was wondering, like, well, what does it mean that he's a trainer? Does that just mean like he's like some guest every once in a while? No, it looks like he's going to start with a bunch of curated classes that he's going to say that, these are the ones that, the people that follow me, the ones you can take, but he's not leading them. And then it sounds like later this year, he's going to actually have his own classes that he's trained as content on their platform. So that sounds pretty interesting.
It does, and I think that this is going to be a thing we're seeing in a lot of the fitness, the different platforms, because like Tonal's doing this. They have several guest instructors.
Yeah,
and Tony Horton is over there from P90X, and he does classes, and people love them. People absolutely love
Right.
them. Now I don't. So Michael Phelps, I wouldn't want him teaching a cycling class. That's not his thing. So like I would
Right.
want him teaching a swimming class, maybe a weights class if it were me taking
Right.
it. But that's interesting. Yeah, show me how to swim. That's what I need.
I think that a lot of these things that like this, I think give their platform like credibility. I don't know if that makes any sense. And I'm kind of talking in terms of like the struggles that I've seen with Echelon. And I think a lot of their struggles have not specifically been about price point. I know people talk about price point a lot, but I don't think it's been about price point. I think their struggles have been more about that credibility aspect.
Yes.
And I think a lot of these things that happen with iFit, I think boost their credibility. So
I would absolutely agree. And I think if anything, I think sometimes Echelon's price point, it
does them a disservice.
It damages their credibility. I think, and John Foley's talked about how when they upped the price of the bike, they sold more. And I think that when people see the price point on an Echelon, a lot of times they just think, well, that's got to be cheap.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I don't want to, if I'm going to go down this road, I want to buy something that's decent.
There's a lot of things that make people raise their eyebrows at Echelon, at least me. And so I want to, that's why I think you're right, because people have said to me, and people who are clearly working for Echelon have literally reached out to me. I'm not even joking. And they will say things like, how dare you, talk about a competitor? That's just not right. That's not fair. But you know what? That's because I don't agree with their business practices. And what iFit is doing, yes, they still copied an original design from Peloton, just like Echelon did. But have they copied every single step Peloton has done every single day? No, they've done their own things, and they've branched out, and so that does give them credibility. And so I look at them as a real competitor coming up in the ranks, where Echelon, no. So.
Well, I guess while we're talking about competitors, Soul Cycle, Equinox, aka Soul Cycle, was trying to get a merger going, and I guess that I guess the stock talk jargon would be shit the bed.
Yeah, I think that's
What?
it.
What's going on? Was this a jockey position thing? Because we know iFit is trying to, their IPO, they're trying to go public with an valuation of like $7 billion. Like, it makes me wonder, was this like, we're going to do $9 billion.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, but right.
Absolutely sounds like a dick measuring contest.
It really does.
They lost.
and then the SPAC investors were like, are you crazy? And then it all kind of like shut down.
They were like,
Basically,
it's not
in a nutshell.
2014, right?
Yeah, like times have changed for Soul Cycle.
Yeah.
And no. They said no
so I
to the
guess
SPAC.
we're not going to see. I was kind of looking forward to that, but I guess we're not going to see an Equinox Soul Cycle IPO this year.
Not this year.
No.
I mean, maybe
well.
next year. It could still
Maybe next
happen.
year.
It could still
It could
happen. But they would have to change their valuation methods and valuation period.
Yeah.
And then I guess
I should have saved my soapbox.
your
Darn.
Echelon soapbox.
I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. And we're doing these competitors in order of realism.
Oh, okay.
So we're ending
that
with
makes
Echelon.
It's funny with Echelon when we get back to that topic. I was always doing my non-scientific kind of measurement of followers based on competitors in the connected fitness space. I'm sure you've seen those posts. Echelon was always
Like
way
dead last.
down, like
Like
dead
by a
last.
billion.
Yeah.
Right. Every time. And so I always thought that was odd considering the number of classes that they're recording every day, the number of products they have, that they just can't get that same level of like social engagement. And I also found it odd, their subscriber base and how you always hear these numbers about them and it always seems lower than you would expect. And so I think this article started out sounding like, oh, this is kind of a positive thing. They've got a person helping them determine what their financial future is going to be and which direction they're going to go. Are they going to do another funding round? Are they going to do IPO? It sounds, I guess, positive, but to me, I read it as they're not sure what they should do because stuff isn't really working. That's how I took it, right? Right? Like, not really trying to diss them or anything.
Yeah.
I'm really that's how I read it. Like, they're not sure if they want to do another funding round. Do they want to sell the business? Or, do they want to go
selling,
IPO?
Selling might be their best option because
But
there
to
is.
who?
I mean, I don't know, but somebody out there could, in theory, do something with this company. I mean, I'm sure they have gathered, together some people that are, collectively a good thing for some other company out there.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd probably want too much for it to be worth it for anybody to buy. But I could see a company getting a bargain basement deal and really actually doing something with this and like being creative and taking their own steps. I could see that being a good sale, but.
Right. And when I say not working, this is all relative. Like, I think everybody in this space is making money. So
Yeah.
Don't take it like that. I think they're successful in what they're doing. I'm saying, I think the space has so much upside. You would have thought they would have acquired more market share and
they're not gaining ground
further.
as fast as they thought they would. That's how you're defining not working.
Yeah, as far as I mean, me personally, as far as I thought they would have.
Right.
So that makes me okay. Like, what do we do now? And that's how I take that article. It's like that same question is in their minds. I think.
Okay.
That's my perspective. On
Yeah, I think they thought it was going to be easier than it ended up being.
Copycats always do.
Yeah.
They think all you got to do is sit down and do whatever the other guy did and it'll just come to you.
Absolutely.
And it just doesn't work like that.
It does not.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, the article starts with they've got people wanting to invest.
Yeah,
But
they're
it's
just not
like-
sure that that's the best method for them. Like, is throwing more money on this at this time the best method?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, is
that's
that-
the question.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they have been throwing money at it, and it hasn't been at least getting the results that they thought based on relative to investment.
I would agree.
Right.
I would agree.
And they're like you said, they're making all these classes, but nobody seems to be watching them. And it pop culture rabbit hole. But it reminds me of, did you know, John, that there was a Blazing Saddles television show?
I mean, why would anyone know that?
Well, why would they know it? Because
I
it
don't
never
think I
aired.
knew
But they
that.
produced, I think, 4 seasons of it.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it starred, I believe it was Lou Gossett Jr. and Steve Landisberg, who played Dietrich on Barney Miller. And the studio wanted to make a sequel to Blazing Saddles. Contractually, they had a certain amount of time to produce a sequel. Or a television show. And Mel Brooks didn't want to do it. And there was a clause in there that says, or a television show. And he was like, because they'll never make a television show. Because how do you make this for TV?
So then they made it for TV?
So then they were like, well, what we'll do in order to hold on to the sequel rights is we'll produce a television
show.
And they made like...
They never released it.
They made like 4 or 5 seasons of like 10, 12 episodes. They were like, it just says we got to make one. It
Doesn't
never
say we have to distribute
doesn't
it.
say we got to put it out anywhere.
Oh my God.
And so
Wow.
they made a full, and there's clips of it on YouTube. They made a full-fledged TV show that not one person ever saw, just so they could hold on to the sequel rights.
How
and then
many
never made it.
lawyers? How many lawyers were involved in that?
Yeah.
Lawyers.
So
That is.
yeah.
Someone was reading that late at night,
Yeah.
and they had the epiphany. We just gotta make the show. Something like that happened. That's how.
Exactly.
So
Some brainiac lawyer. Yeah.
totally. Yeah, I was just like, wow, that's a crazy move. And those are real people on that show. Like those are So
they thought they were really making something.
So there's your pop culture rabbit hole for the episode. So thank you very much for joining us, John. Until next week, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook in my Facebook group or page, Run, Lift, and Live. They can find me on Instagram, Run, Lift, and Live, or at runliftandlive.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have a good one.
I see you guys.
See you later.
Too. Bye.
Bye.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jenn.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jenn Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. You may know her from VH1's Couples Therapy with Dr. Jenn, or VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jenn, or her long-running radio show, The Dr. Jenn Show. Plus, she's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jenn's 6-Step Guide to Improving Communication, Connection, and Intimacy. It's Dr. Jenn. Hello.
No.
Hi.
You forgot the part about that. I'm obsessed with Peloton.
And you're obsessed with Peloton. She's so obsessed that when I don't say it, she gets mad.
Great. Now you ticked her off.
I know. She's like, this is my last one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have another great question from the Clip Out community. This one comes from Luke Bamey. I hope that I am saying his last name correctly. He says, personally, he's going through the struggle of getting back on the wagon. He was working out 5 to 6 days a week. It was the Peloton bike and the tonal for just over 2 years as part of getting healthy for the first time in his life. Then around Thanksgiving, he fell out of the habit. He went 4 months with almost no workouts. In May, he started back up, but then the toddler was sick, not sleeping, and then he was sick. So he's doing better in June, 11 days straight, closing all 3 Apple Watch rings, but he's still struggling to build back the habits and, I think more importantly, deal with the guilty feelings of having lost ground with the exercise coupled with gaining weight back.
Okay. Well, I think this is a great question. He is not alone. And actually, DJ John Michael posted about this as well. I don't know if any of you saw that. But I think the first thing you want to do is kind of go back and look at what made him stop. That after 2 years, what was it that went wrong? Because these things don't tend to just happen in isolation. They don't happen in a bubble. And so the first thing to do, so in order to avoid it happening again, is to really look back and go, okay, was I getting burned out and I didn't recognize it? Did I need a vacation from my exercise plan and I didn't take it? What did I get injured and not take good care of it? Was I not getting enough sleep? Was I not having enough balance? Maybe you were doing too much exercise and not enough family time where it became too extreme. So I think that the first is to kind of do a postmortem and look at, where did this go wrong? When I have gone off the wagon, what was it that made me go in a different direction?
Oh, that's
so then you want to set up, once you've done it, you want to set up things that will help prevent you from this happening again. And, I certainly would want to look at what is your plan? Because look, the truth is in life, if you have a toddler, they get sick. I mean, I have twin girls, and I remember when they were toddlers, certainly when they were in preschool, they would get they get sick for 2 weeks. They'd be out of school. One would get the other one sick. That would be 2 weeks. We'd bring them back to school. And 3 weeks later, one would get sick, and then we'd start the whole cycle again. So if you've got a toddler, you're going to have to build into your exercise plan the assumption that someone's going to get sick. And I would have a backup plan for times like that. So that you can feel like you're on track and you're doing something. And maybe if you have a sick toddler, all you do is a 10-minute strength class so that you can get your blue dot. You can feel like you are still on track. You can be still being physical, and also you're in touch with your body. And sometimes even just taking 10 minutes that's for yourself refreshes you. You know, as a busy parent, it's very easy to just give and give and give, and you work and you give and you take care and you change the diapers and you feed and you bathe, and like you're exhausted and not give to yourself. And it's important to look at exercise as part of that self-care, and that you got to put the gasoline in the tank for the car to drive. Like, you can't run on no gas. And part of exercising is putting gas in the tank. So I think that those are really kind of the key points. I think that you got to give yourself a break. I think that this happened for a reason. And I think that getting to the bottom of the reason is more important than beating yourself up. Beating yourself up is not going to get you back on track. On the contrary, it's more likely to derail you and make you not work out. When we feel good about ourselves, we take good care of ourselves, so we make good choices for ourselves. But when we beat ourselves up and we feel like crap, we get all this negative self-talk in our heads, and then we're less likely to work out, and we're more likely to beat ourselves up if we don't do it perfectly, which then prevents us from working out again. So I think that those are really the key factors, but having a backup plan. And I would really want to do kind of an in-depth analysis of, when do you need a vacation? How often do you need a day off? How often do you need a week off? How often do you need to change up your program? Is there anything that you can do to keep yourself motivated? Like I've talked about on your show, once a week, I work out virtually with a girlfriend. We take Peloton classes on Thursday morning. She's in DC, I'm in LA. We FaceTime together and we do classes together and we talk. And that really helps kind of keep me in the game. And it's something different on that day.
Yeah, I love that. And you know, Tom always says something to me when I beat myself up that reminds me of what you just said. And he always says, like, well, even if you gained weight back, like if you look back all the way back at the beginning, where you were then would just kill to have where you are now. So even if you backslid a little bit, like, don't forget that. And that's something that always makes me stop and really take stock.
Oh, it works.
Yeah, most of the time.
Okay.
And you know, one of the things that is really challenging about getting back, and it's also very challenging for starting an exercise program, is that I've read some really interesting studies about people who exercise consistently over time and who are considered to be like lifelong exercisers. And what the study shows is that the people who exercise, first of all, they have a positive association because at the end of their training, they know they're going to feel good. During the training, they get endorphins. They feel a sense of accomplishment. That oftentimes they will go into what sports psychologists call a state of flow. Flow is like, have you ever been driving your car and then like all of a sudden you're like at your location, you're like, wow, I don't even remember. I kind of spaced out.
Yep.
Flow is when you get into that state of mind where time passes effortlessly. And whatever it is that you're doing starts to not become so hard. And you kind of get into the groove of it. And so the hard thing is that when either you haven't exercised at all or you stopped exercising and you're getting back, you get none of that.
I still get none of that. I don't get one thing you just rattled off. Not one thing.
And you probably won't for quite some time. and that, look, I give you so much more credit for working out, Tom, the way you're working out than I give myself credit, because I get those things now, because you have to reach a certain level of fitness to get those things. And in the beginning, it's pain and agony. It is, this sucks, this hurts, I'm not good at this.
It's boring. Yeah,
exactly. It's boring. I'm at the bottom of the leaderboard. I hate this. And you have to be able to get past that period of time to get to that point where, like, there are times where I'm on the treadmill and I'm like, ooh, all of a sudden I just felt this happy feeling. Oh, those are endorphins. Wow, that's cool. And at the very least, even if my run, and I say run because they're particularly challenging for me, that even if my run sucks, like even if it's terrible, I know at the end, because running's so challenging for me, I feel such a sense of accomplishment. And I know when I'm doing it, and I think to myself as I'm running, you know what? at the end, I'm going to get that great feeling, and that will get me through.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly, especially on the running part. It's harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. For people that just can't get enough of you, where can they find you before next week?
You can find me on social media at Dr. Jenn Man, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Man. I post all of my Peloton workouts on Insta Story. And also you can find me in Style Magazine. I have a weekly column, Sex and Relationship, called Hump Day with Dr. Jenn, that comes out every Wednesday.
Awesome.
Peloton in the news.
So Peloton is officially in Australia.
Officially.
It's live and it's going.
It is, and the bike and the Bike Plus that's what's officially on sale.
Okay.
So now you can go to the stores that are located in Peloton and you can buy it, or you can buy it online at the Peloton Australia store. And
Is that like Peloton, onepeloton.au?
I believe it is.
Okay.
And then they also, like, to commemorate the event, because it's super exciting, they dropped 2 brand new Spotify playlists, and they are all about Australia's most popular music.
Let me see. So AC/DC, Little River Band, Men at Work.
Oh, I don't know.
Air Supply.
I didn't actually look at it. This is more like you and Gail need to have a conversation about this.
NXS, before someone tweets at us, NXS, they're Australian.
Love NXS.
Yeah.
They'll never die in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Little River Band. I did NXS show once. I've lost so much money. But anyway, I was like, honest to God, thought I was going to get fired. It did so badly.
Oof.
But anyway, so they're officially in Australia. So
They are.
good day.
Yeah. Welcome to the family.
Welcome, Australian listeners.
If
both
there
of you.
are any Australian listeners out there listening, please reach out to me, clipoutcrystal@gmail.com, because I would love to interview you and have you on the show.
Yeah.
That would be so fun.
Let's talk to an Aussie.
Yes.
Did they say that? Was that offensive? Did I just offend?
I mean,
our
you've
Australian
offended
listeners?
every new country that
that's
has
true.
joined Peloton.
That's true.
You haven't ucked lately, but I'm sure it's coming.
It's only a matter of
Welcome,
time.
Australia.
Welcome. And we forgive you for Yahoo Serious.
I kind of liked that dude.
So while we're talking about music streaming, Slate had an article, and the title was, "How the heck is Peloton the best paying music streaming service?"
And you got a kick out of this article. This was right up your music pop culture bailiwick.
I did. Bailiwick. Wow. That's old timey.
I've lived with you for
That's
almost a
old time. Are you
decade.
gonna churn butter after dinner? Like that's. But
Nah, have the kids do that.
Okay. So they talked about the like what each streaming service is paying per song. Normally you would say per spin, but I think it might confuse people given that we're talking about
that.
Peloton. But and Peloton pays a lot compared to something like a Spotify or an Apple.
So for people listening, tell us, give us some numbers.
Okay, hang on. Let me pull up the chart here. So, let's see. So, Spotify, for example, seems to be paying 0.003 cents per stream. Apple is 0.00675 cents.
Jesus, that's depressing.
Yeah. YouTube is 0.0002%.
Wow.
Amazon is 0.01 cent. I'm sorry, I've been saying percent. I meant cents. So it's paying,
I heard it right.
Yeah, so they're basically paying like a penny.
Okay.
Like and so then if you slide all the way down to Peloton, which it doesn't even look like they're in the, I guess in this case you'd say the bottom 20. Oh no, there they are. They're number 12 at point. They're paying basically 3.1 cent per stream.
Wow. So, but they're number 12. So how does that make them number 1? What are they number 1 at?
Well, not necessarily number 1, but like compared to a Spotify, they're paying significantly more per stream.
Because they're paying more per stream, and therefore they're paying the largest in money overall because they pay so much more. So are we saying they pay more to these?
Well, they're paying more per song. They don't don't necessarily stream the song as many times. So some of it is these larger providers are getting a volume discount because they play the songs.
But can
so
you
much
go
more.
back up to the title? What is this thing called? What is the title?
Why is Peloton paying so much money?
It said, why the heck are they the most? It said the most something.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know how they're breaking out.
I know. I'm just trying to understand
stuff.
it. I'm just trying to understand.
So they're paying significantly more per stream than Spotify. But when you look at this, it's interesting in that when it shows streams per song, if I'm reading this right, they're like 60. Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to the fact that they just don't necessarily have the volume of plays or streams on any individual song, so their per cost is higher. But I also can't help but feel that they kind of got, for lack of a better term, bullied into paying a higher rate.
Well, yeah,
because of the lawsuits.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's also a reminder for all the people that were bitching during the lawsuit that they were like, Peloton is stealing from people. And now if you look at it, they're one of the best paying outlets out there for having your songs streamed. So
wow.
It's all come full circle, which is kind of what we said as that was going down.
It was what we
which
said.
is like, there is no rule for what they should pay, and they're going to fight it out in court, and then they'll say, cut us a check for what you missed, and here we are. And now you have artists clamoring to be a part of the Peloton ecosystem.
Boy, they sure are. They sure are.
Forbes.com had an article, The War to Bring Down Peloton.
This ticked a lot of people off.
Why?
A lot of people did not like the title to this.
Yeah.
Because why are they trying to yes.
That's all that
but they
matters.
didn't like that it was such, like, why does it have to be either or? Why can't it be both?
Because how's it going to be both? Who's going to, nobody's going to buy
both of these
products. Like, that's a ridiculous
notion. But the
notion.
point being that there's plenty of market share to go around.
Sure. I mean, there is room for both, but it is a war, and I think it's kind of naive to not think of it as such. And they have clearly
just telling you what the people are saying.
Well,
honey.
the people are wrong. I mean, iFit has clearly set their sights on Peloton.
Oh, for sure.
And so that's a war. Whether doesn't mean
people aren't dying. Like, that's not that kind of war.
It's a metaphorical war,
right.
But it's like, now will it be a war in the sense of like they actually get any traction or do any damage? I don't know. It reminds me of Bill Hicks had a great line talking about the first Gulf War, where he says war. He's like, no, a war is when two countries fight. So like I don't know how much damage they'll really do. I think there's enough. They've created enough of a market that if you get a sliver of it, you're still gonna be living in a mansion.
That's just it. Peloton created the market.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always going to be my take on it.
Totally.
I mean, they are clearly making a huge effort here, and good for them for being an actual serious competitor. I think that is good for Peloton. I think serious competition is good.
Yeah.
They have a tremendous head start, years at this point, and it's going to be tough no matter what company it is. They are the first ones I've seen that I'm actually like, okay, they're really giving it a go. Yeah. And they've been around a long time. Nordic Track's not new.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't. They didn't bring the joy to working out at home the way Peloton did.
They didn't figure out a way to make working out at home a hot commodity in the way that Peloton did.
Nobody can ever take that away from Peloton.
Yeah, absolutely. So we thought we'd talk about this a little bit. There's an article we keep seeing get passed around, and it's called Peloton Gets Redesigned for a Full Body Workout and Recovery Massage with Aromatherapy at Home. And it's some weird looking device that I don't even know how to describe it. If you want to go to our YouTube channel, we have it up. And people are like, is this real? No,
it's not real. It is. It was described to me. I thought the best, most succinct word for it, or words for it, was fan fiction.
Yeah,
that's what this is. And I never thought it was real, but I was like, why is this out? And so apparently, okay. So here's the deal. This person who runs this website, like, he goes around to all these different like popular brands, and he takes them, the designs they already have, and then he makes a new design, and then he puts it out there like it's real, as an ode also to get attention. I
Right.
mean, he's clearly a designer. He's clearly got some talent, and,
Sure,
and
it's
I'm sure this is a good way to get attention. But
Yeah.
but for the Peloton community, it's confusing the heck out of them,
Right.
because it's getting posted everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you see this weird looking box thing and it's got an arm on it, it's not Peloton.
Yeah,
Even if it
it's-
has the Peloton P, it's not real.
Yeah, it's not a real thing. And
I'm surprised Peloton hasn't made them take it down yet, because it has the Peloton P on it, or it did at one point. Maybe it doesn't now.
yeah, me too. The only thing I can think is maybe there's some sort of mouse print on their website that talks about how it's the parody or homage or something. And
That
you know,
could be.
But yeah, so it's not real. And if you want your bike or tread to have aromatherapy, just stop wiping it down when you're done.
Or if you want real aromatherapy, you can get it from Amazon for like $10.
Yes.
The Clip Out.
So joining us again via the magic of ZoomTube, here to answer all of your nutrition questions, is Angelo from MetPro. Hello.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Hi, we have another question from the Clip Out community. And this one comes from Tracy Porisoff. And she would like to know how to eat high protein as a vegetarian. Because, as you know, legumes are mostly carbs. Cheese and nuts are mostly fat. And that seems to leave non-fat yogurt, egg whites, and low-fat cottage cheese, which can get monotonous.
There it is. There it is. Well, I'm glad that she said, what was her name again?
Tracy Porisoff.
Tracy. I'm glad, Tracy, that you asked me, how can I eat high protein? Because the last three people said, how can I eat low carb as a vegan? And I'm still scratching my head on that one. Well, I hope you like two foods, because that's all you're going to eat. So, yes, it can be a challenge. It is harder as a vegan than a vegetarian, because as a vegetarian, you still have, we have to ask, because I get a lot of people that I like to refer to it as plant-based, because it means something different to everyone. And some people say that they're vegetarian. Some people are, as far as vegan, strict definitions are different. But it sounds like Tracy will eat some egg whites, some cottage cheese, some dairy. And so that gives her a few more options. So I'm going to say something which is quite ironic in light of the previous question that we just had. But this is where some supplemental protein powders can actually, I know that's hilarious, right? That's so ironic, actually can work so well, because it doesn't have to be a thing. Like, what am I going to cook and make just to get my 15 grams of protein with a snack? Oh, how about if I have 2 tablespoons of this protein powder and just mix it in a little water and it's done? And there's nothing wrong. Of course, you're going to have your nuts, your seeds, your beans, your legumes, your nut butters. You're also going to get protein from. Don't really fall for the whole, there's protein, trace protein in dark leafy greens, so I'm just going to eat enough of the dark leafy green. You're never going to eat enough dandelion to give you that's not going to happen.
Unless you're a billy goat.
Yes, unless you're a billy goat. So you're going to have to get the protein from another source. And what I find is that if you can plan ahead, now some of my plant-based clients still eat fish, some don't. And so what I tell them is make your primary protein meal your dinner, not because there's something magic about 6 o'clock at night, your body needs it more than any other time, but just from a lifestyle, socially, that seems to make the most sense. And then try and get vegetarian-based protein sources at lunch, at breakfast, such as the items we just talked about. And then at snack times, if you find you're not quite hitting your protein needs and you want to bring it up by 20, 30 grams a day, that's where there are excellent plant-based protein powders. In fact, I use a plant-based protein powder. The brand that I use, I think just tastes delicious. It does have a few grams of carbs, but not many. It's mostly protein. And I'll have it along with some fruit typically, and I'll just put it in a little glass of water, mix it up, and it's just not even a thing. And I find that really works well if your protein needs aren't being met. And so, of course, if you've listened to any of our conversations, you know the question I always want to ask is why do you feel you need more protein? Just like I ask, why would you want anything? Look at it through the framework of your goals. Assuming your protein levels are adequate, is your goal to add more muscle? And are you trying to add more muscle because you want more muscle or because you want a faster metabolism? Those are really two different things. And they're not always related the way some people would think they are. So know what your goals are versus just, oh, well, I'm told that I need to have another, more protein is better for XYZ. It may very well be better. But in your case, if you have a strategy session where you're thinking about, here are my goals, here's my current diet and training routine, you might be surprised to find out where the most obvious levers are. Yeah, I hope that those couple suggestions and foods you could go to and supplements you could use help a little bit.
Yeah, that is the perfect place to add your supplements. You're right. That makes sense. And there and there's so many supplements out there. There's so many protein powders out there that you can use. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a little overwhelming.
It is. Yeah. That's a different question.
And a lot of people say, well, Angelo, I heard you like this protein powder, that protein powder. Why don't you just refer to the brand or the one you use? I get asked that a lot, and there's an answer. It's because by the time you're all hearing this, they've changed their formulation.
Yeah, they do it all the time.
Wow. Yeah, that's, and I mean, picking foods out for our food lists and for, inside our technology suite and the app and everything that we use, the tools for our clients. People are like, well, this is a great product. Why don't you have this in your app? I'm like, we love that product also. And so, our coaches will talk with their clients about it. But 6 months from now, that'll be a different product.
Wow.
The companies are constantly changing their formulation, which is why I like to talk principles of the types of foods and the macronutrients and the ingredients you're looking for versus specific foods.
Makes
Good
sense.
to know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, until next time, where can people find you?
MetPro.co/TCO.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
While we're talking MetPro, we got a winner for our contest.
Woo! Congrats to Stephanie Toledo. She is the winner of a 6-month transformation from MetPro.
Awesome.
That is really cool.
Yeah, that's
very cool.
That's a good deal. So congratulations, and thanks to everybody who entered. Sorry if you didn't win, but congrats to Stephanie.
Yeah, we really appreciate everybody entering, and hopefully, if you Stephanie. Hopefully you'll reach back out to us and tell us about your results. I would love to hear how they went.
Totally. We would love to hear that.
Peloton Artist Collaborations.
So Robin has finally done her In the Heights classes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so multiple instructors did it, but people had been clamoring for Robin to do an In the Heights ride. Obviously, she had interviewed Lin-Manuel
Miranda.
Thank you, Lin-Manuel Miranda. And she had interviewed him a couple weeks ago, and people really thought this was going to be her first class when she came back from maternity leave. Ended up being an all for one ride, which was great. And then this was the very shortly after, and people were super stoked about it. And there were some other In the Heights classes. So if you miss those and you love In the Heights, you definitely want to take them.
And while we're talking about artist collaborations, they announced there would be Spice Girls classes.
Oh, my word. People are losing their mind over this.
Absolutely. The Spice Girls were huge, especially...
I was just never into the Spice Girls.
And I get that, but if you think about it, just demographically, they were big about 20 years ago. And if you were 10 to 15, now, you're 30 to 35, and that's who's using Peloton.
Absolutely. No, it makes sense. And it's a great win for Peloton.
Absolutely.
And I like that it crosses over from, it's the UK and the US.
Right.
It's an artist that two countries can get super excited about, and they were.
Yes. It was everywhere.
Lots of very unique outfits that I saw ready for the Spice Girls ride. So I'm glad people enjoyed it. It's just not something I have nostalgia for.
And then lots of mad middle-aged dudes for no reason.
Yeah, what is up with that?
Not everything's got to be for you, dude. Not,
I mean, I know it's not for me, and I'm I try to approach it like that's good, you know? If it's all for me, then Peloton's doing something wrong.
It was just weird, the level of anger. Normally that's associated with an artist who's really politically outspoken or something, right? And it's the Spice Girls they're just the Spice Girls, man. What
could you possibly have a problem with them about?
Yeah. My word. I mean, okay, Spice World was awful. So, I mean,
I don't even know what that was.
That was their movie, and it was
Okay.
bad.
Yeah,
And-
well, I felt like you could have known that going in.
But but I don't think 20 years on you should have that level of anger about it.
No. There are so many bigger problems in the world.
If you're that mad about the Spice Girls, it says way more about you than it does about the Spice Girls.
God, for real. For real.
And then also, there's a new addition to the Champions collection, spotlighting Kathleen Baker.
Kathleen is going to be joining Christine Diarcolet for these classes, and so she's going to be live on the leaderboard. Somebody mentioned to me that they did not know that this was a new feature, so I just wanted to point it out in case there's other people that don't know.
Absolutely.
When these champions are live on the ride, you can go to your filters, and when you go to the filters, one of them will be special guest, and you can find them right there, and you can high five them, and you can see where you are in relation to them on the leaderboard.
Which is not close at all.
Some people, it was surprised. So Mel B from the Spice Girls was on. Stacey Revere posted that in our group, and she was above Mel B on the leaderboard. So I guess it just depends on.
I guess I was thinking when you're dealing with like the Olympic level athletes.
Yeah, that's fair. But
you're probably not going to compete.
Keep in mind all of our bikes are calibrated
That is
differently.
true.
So
Yeah.
whether you are or you aren't, I don't know that it really means that much. It's just really cool that
It's
you
just
can.
Fun to see.
Peloton Celebrity Sightings.
So it looks like Vinny from Jersey Shore has joined the Peloton family,
Which is very exciting.
Yeah.
And apparently he wants to be a Peloton instructor.
Yes.
And
He tweeted today, "I want to be a Peloton instructor." And Peloton replied,
what did they say?
"Oh, I forget."
Was it funny?
They said, "We'll add the GTL class type now."
I want to have a GTL class type. I will take that class.
How do you do laundry on your Peloton? The
I
L
don't
stands
know.
for laundry.
That we've discussed so many things that bike can do.
Fair enough. But and here he is from his Instagram. He has 2 Instagram accounts. This is from his Keto Guido Instagram account with some
Vinny.
Pelotons in the background. But he's gotten very fitness oriented the last few years, and which is funny because when he was on the show, he wasn't like heavy or anything, but he was the one that didn't go to the gym all the time like the other 3 guys did, and now he's definitely made up
all in.
He is all in, man. So hats off to him. It's not an easy choice or a shift to make.
I guess you would know.
I know. Never thought I'd have something in common with someone from the Jersey Shore.
Can I just tell a little story on you?
Oh dear.
It's not a bad story, but you guys, so Tom this week, he was figuring out what workout he was going to do next on Tonal. And so he did not only a short cardio workout that he was supposed to do, but then went into a barbell workout right after that. Go big or go home. He started off the program. He did them back to back. He has now become the person that is not just working out once a day. Now it's twice a day. So
Angelo said I needed to do both, so I just did both. I just knocked them out.
It doesn't matter. It is to be celebrated. Everybody out there, I assure you, is applauding you. They are so excited for you. It's a shift, and it's very cool, and it sneaks up on you, doesn't it? Because you were like, "Oh, this is going to be, this is how he talks about it. Oh, this is going to be an easy one. It's only got this and it's only got that."
Not that one I didn't call easy.
I'm just saying in general, when you go and look at the workouts, that's how you look at them now.
I was like,
Before
okay, that one I can do.
It was just something to
my definition of easy of like, I'm not going to need a nap later.
Yeah, but now you're like, oh, it's only got some of these and some of those. This is no big deal. That's how far you've come.
Okay.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. I'm celebrating. Everyone celebrate. You can not tease him, like I said to you earlier.
Oh yeah, bury that at the end of the show where no one's going to hear it. I know this game.
In case you missed it.
And then finally, Summer Drop 2 has hit the boutique.
Yeah, so we record on Wednesdays, so it hasn't dropped as of this moment, but it will drop before this episode drops.
Yes.
And so we just wanted to put that out there. I'm excited to see what the summer colors look like, and hopefully we'll be right because the Peloton Prophet told us, and so we're hoping that is true.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Can't wait to see summer 2 colors.
Yes.
checking in with the Peloton community.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Debra Allison. Hey, Debra. How you doing?
Hi there.
That's how that works. So how is it? Debra, okay? No?
Oh my God. It's going to be a long interview. We got this.
Okay.
We've been through worse in 2020. We can keep going with this sound quality.
Boy, that's true. So I like to always find out from people like where they first came across Peloton and decided, hey, this is the machine for me. So tell us your story.
I thought that would be your first question. And before I answer that, I wanted to say thank you to the both of you. You both have been so influential in my life in these last couple of years. I mean, not only do I see this podcast bringing together the Peloton community like nothing else, but yes, you share your experience of the Peloton or your non-experience, Tom, but but your openness and your honesty has been inspiring to me. But just to give you some indication, yes, clearly I own a Peloton. I'm a huge Peloton fan, hence me being here. I also own a tonal, thanks to the both of you. I also working with a MetPro coach. Shout out to Coach Cassie, the best, life-changing. But I'm also, if that's not enough, I'm in the middle of getting my NASM, my personal training certification.
Look at that. Can I, now I feel like I should try and get you to like read some comic books or.
Where I draw the line.
Yeah. Maybe one episode of Real Spoilers. Is that too much to ask?
I mean, what you all do. I mean, I just think like, where would I be without this podcast? Where would all the other people be? I've never felt so good in my life, so comfortable in my body. I've been thinner before. I've been heavier before. I feel like I am finally just right. I am strong. I mean, when I was thin, I know thin is not well. I was not strong then. And that is the result of Peloton, Tonal, MetPro, and the NASM thing. I'm just doing that for fun because this opened my eyes to the fitness world. Like, I want to know what those muscles are called and create my own custom workouts on Tonal. And
we've had quite a few people tell us like, oh, I bought a Tonal because of you, or I did MetPro. And I'm always like waiting for them to be upset. And so far, nobody has been. So that's good. It's a lot of pressure.
Exactly.
It is a lot of pressure. I feel like, I mean, we just try to be really careful about the things that we choose to speak about because we really do like them. You know, I mean, it's from the heart. And so I'm so glad that you are having a great experience with it too. That's amazing. With Tonal and I did the NASM for the same reason. I just wanted to learn stuff and maybe someday it will have another use. I don't know. But for right now, it's just cool information.
Absolutely. But I am such a Peloton fan and I really love those calendar dots. That motivates me. I need to have a dot every day. But now I need to have a Peloton dot and a Tonal dot every day. And I do it. I don't know why those dots are motivating to me. I can't miss one dot now. Like it
keeps you accountable. So, it keeps you accountable. So that's great. We should turn that into a Dr. Jenn question at some point. Ask like, why is that such a motivator for people? But wait though, we got a little bit off track because I don't know when you found Peloton.
Yeah, can't pin that one on us.
So Peloton came into my life in 2018 from a Facebook ad. They got me. I saw the ad and it just resonated with me. Yes, I want this. I need this. I had taken only a couple of spin classes in my life and I loved them. And I just thought, this is great. I was not a fitness person. I think I had little spouts in my life here and there. Maybe I did a half marathon at one point, but I was chunkier and it was harder. And I did work out for a couple weeks, a month, 2 months, but I mean, ever since I've got the machine, I have had a dot every day. So there was something about this machine, something about the podcast. I started listening to the podcast before I even got my bike. I will say that my bike wait was 2 weeks, and those 2 weeks felt like a really long time. But no, I was not a big exerciser. Just to give you some indication, when I was in high school, my marching band counted for my PE credit. And so I was like, done. I don't need to take
Man,
PE.
you gamed the system.
You did game
That
the
hat
system.
tip. Well done.
Walked around the track 3 times, done. But that is not, I'm kicking myself that I I wasn't more active when I was younger. But anyways, no, I mean, so I remember also buying the Peloton over the phone, and the sales lady was like, do you know anyone who has a Peloton so we can give or do you have a referral code? And I don't have a what? I don't know anybody who has a Peloton. And she's like, oh, well, let me do you a favor. I'm going to give you my referral code so you can, like, isn't that so nice of me? And I thought it was. I just saved $100. Had no idea.
Now you know.
Well, I mean, that money was just going to go away. She
Yeah.
might as well. Like, I say good for her.
Good
I would
for
have done
her.
the same dang thing.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
That lady now
But-
works for Echelon.
No.
I hope not. No. But I really wanted to talk about my fertility or infertility journey and how exercise has kept me sane. It exercise, fitness, whatever you want to call it, healthy living is what is just moving me along every day and making me get through all the hard times, whether it's fertility, whatever it is. But for me, most recently, it has been fertility. And a little spoiler alert, I do have 3 healthy and happy kids. I have a singleton. I have an older daughter who is 11, and I have twins that are 8. So I am lucky. On the outskirts, I am very lucky. But if you scratch that surface a little bit, for me to get my family here, it's been a lot. And even most recently, I was pregnant. Robin has been one of my favorite instructors, and I was pregnant at the same time as Robin. And I just thought that was so cool, and taking all these classes and learning about different modifications. So when I calculate today's date, I know that I should be 7 months pregnant. But a couple months ago, after doing some blood work that didn't come back normal, I had to make the choice. I mean, I didn't have to make the choice. I made the choice to terminate a baby that clearly I so wanted. I always pictured a super large family, a family of 4. Odd numbers are just hard. I wanted that 4th one, and I could have brought that baby into the world, and some people choose to, and to make that decision was. I'm actually in a support group, and it's called Beyond Choice. Like it is just beyond, and yet I still rode, I still exercised, the morning of that surgery, I still got up and I did what I needed to do, because I am a happier mom, wife, person when I wake up and I do what I need to do, and then can greet the world. And so I wanted to come on here to just bring more light into the fertility journey, to just reach out to anybody who is struggling, has struggled. It's just awful. And that baby, that 4th baby, was meant to be my rainbow baby. Have you heard that term? Like after a crap storm, out comes the rainbow.
Ah.
So to get my 3 kids here, this was pre-Peloton. I did massive fertility treatments, 9 cycles of IUIs, and that in and of itself, people who know the number of injections, the number of canceled cycles, the number of 14-day waits, 10-day waits. It's one of the hardest things that I've gone through. And I hear, I think it's Robin's voice or Tunde's voice in my head that when I'm going up a hill, she says, or they say, like, you've been through worse. Like, yes, I have been through worse. That is my worst, those 9 cycles. And in that, I had a baby that I also had to terminate, but that one was deemed incompatible with life. But still, it's a crazy journey to go through anything like that. So after I had my 3 kids, I decided to help out a friend of mine who could not get off that fertility train. And I was a surrogate for her baby, not my egg, not my anything, just my oven. And I felt like it was my way just to take away the pain that I felt, that nobody could take away for me. And that was just lovely. People always ask me, like, oh, isn't it hard to give up a baby? Don't you want that baby? It's like, it's not mine. It's not mine. It has nothing to do with me. Like, I'm a babysitter. I'm a very good babysitter. And at the end, I don't want your baby at all. And I remember meeting with the therapist. They match you up at the fertility clinic. You have to go through therapy before you get signed up to be a surrogate, which is illegal in a lot of states still, and is illegal in a lot of countries. It can just get really
it's illegal
messy.
to be a surrogate, or it's illegal to have the therapy?
It is, I don't know where therapy would be illegal. It is illegal.
We live in Missouri, so
you never know in Missouri. We've got some weird laws here.
So I wonder if surrogacy is legal there. It can go either way in my head. So surrogacy could be illegal because there's been cases that once the baby is born, the mom or the birth parents, or the actual parents, for whatever reason, don't want that baby anymore, or it's not healthy and then they don't want that baby, or the parents die and then what happens to that baby? There's been some really nasty, ugly cases, but in my case, everything was smooth. But I remember the therapist saying, you really need to explain this odd situation to this, not odd, she didn't use the word odd, this unique situation to your kids, because they're going to think that you're going to give them up too. And so,
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
And they were much younger too. And I actually, I remember my older daughter she was embarrassed that I was a surrogate. And so after I gave birth, somebody said, where's the baby? And she told her friend, my mommy gave it up for adoption. And no, mommy did not give that baby up for adoption. She just didn't want to. Anyways. So the therapist said, explain to your kids that if your neighbor's oven broke and your neighbor wanted to bake a pie, and she came over and asked if she can use your oven, so we let her use our oven, at the end of the 40 minutes, is that your pie or is that the neighbor's pie? And clearly that pie goes right back to the neighbor's house. And that's
a good analogy.
That did away with that. So I got to be a surrogate, and then the Peloton came into my life at just the right time. It certainly helped lose the baby weight, whatever. Well, some of it, and then Tonal came in and MetPro came and finished all that up. But I was told for years and years and years that I could not get pregnant. Don't even try on your own, go right to fertility treatments. My numbers didn't look right or whatever. And surprise, I get pregnant. And it's not because I relaxed or didn't think about, like, I get really frustrated when people who aren't accustomed to the fertility world say, like, oh, it'll happen when you least expect it. I really think it happened because fitness came into my life and I was just healthier. I wasn't as thin, and it made my body in a healthy state. And I went into the doctor's office for the normal first ultrasound at 6, 7, 8 weeks, and I went from yay baby. I went from baby to actually no baby to this could be cancer in 6 seconds.
Whoa.
That's
And
a lot to take in.
There is something that they don't talk about it's not common. It's called a molar pregnancy, nothing to do with the molars in your mouth. It's just called a molar pregnancy. And I really think that this is like something that they must talk about in Catholic schools when they tell you, if you have sex, you could die. This is how it can happen. The pregnancy goes awry in your body and your body starts to attack it. And if the doctor said, if I miscarried on my own, that it can metastasize all over my body. And they wanted to all of a sudden give me chemotherapy drugs prophylactically.
What?
Whoa. Never even heard of that.
I haven't either.
Not that I've heard on pregnancies, but
Same.
yeah.
Crazy. It's the one in the million. Of course it happens to this girl. So not pregnant. That was not my rainbow baby. And so I went through that, and it's like a year process of kind of wrapping that all up. You can't get pregnant again within the year. Your same HCG blood level markers that they use to test for pregnancy is the same marker that they were watching me for cancer. So if that number went up, they wouldn't know if I had cancer or I was pregnant or both.
Oh my gosh.
So that year went away, and I did not need chemotherapy drugs. Again, exercise, eating healthily. Like I felt lucky on that end. But then one morning, I exercised pretty early in the morning. One morning, I was in my Power Zone ride, and I need to give a disclaimer before I share this because I just listened to the whole story and hear it out before anybody please jumps to a conclusion. But I was on the ride and I miscarried on the ride during the ride. And I was told I didn't want to share that story because I don't want people to think you can miscarry because
that the bike caused it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at all. I talked to my doctor many times through about this, and he said the actual miscarriage happens days before the actual miscarriage. I did not cause it. The bike did not cause it. Power Zone did not cause it. It was going to happen. It just happened then. And exercising or not exercising wouldn't change the outcome. I didn't know that I was even pregnant at that point. That's how early it was. And I didn't know what was going on. And I remember calling the doctor and they patched me right through to the ER doctor. And this is right before Peloton became a household name. And he's like, what? Did you run into your bike? Why are you bleeding? What? Like, and I was like, no, I was riding my bike. And it took a while before we connected all those dots. But so then I went to the doctor and they said, oh, maybe this is cancer. That maybe it didn't all go away and we don't know again. And here we go again for the year.
Oh my gosh.
And maybe chemotherapy, maybe not chemotherapy. We just need to watch. So the one in a million happened again. So that was that pregnancy. I also, very interesting fertility cards. I mean, again, very blessed fertility cards, but for some reason, a very challenging fertility cards. And I think people, whether they just don't know what to say or they don't know what not to say, but sometimes they see my family of 3 girls and they'll say to me, "You trying for that boy?" And they have no idea. Yeah,
Sure.
I have been trying. I have. In fact, I just terminated on St. Patrick's Day this year, 2021. Like, I don't say anything. I nod and smile. But people have no idea what they're saying. And another example of that is, so I was also dealt the diastasis rectus card in my fertility journey. And that's when the muscles don't go back after having, I delivered 4 babies. Like, I get it. I'm 5'1", 5'2" on a good day. Like, if I'm really sitting up tall, I put my body through a lot. And so I had an extreme case of diastasis rectus, not just the mommy pooch that happens. I could share pictures, or if someone wants to DM me, I looked easily 8 months pregnant. Like, I had to really adjust all of my clothes. And I remember going to Disneyland thinking, they're not going to let me on the rides. Like what? Who lets a pregnant woman on these crazy, it was something that I lived with. And I saw a physical therapist who said, I never say this, physical therapy is not for you. You need surgery. I did get surgery, which is never covered by insurance. I'm in diastasis rectus support groups. Actually, when I first got the Peloton, I thought, oh, this is amazing. There's a Peloton Mom Facebook group. This must be really private. I posted a picture of why I need to exercise at home, because back in 2018, the gyms where it was at.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to a spin class in 2018 with my distended belly without people making comments. And so when I posted that to the Peloton Mom group, this was before I even received the bike. This is in my 2-week wait. Tons of moms reached out. They showed me where the secret private diastasis Facebook groups were. I think that same day, a Peloton mom, I don't even know who to give credit to, hopped on the phone with me and told me what the surgery was like. Amazing, arms extended wide from this community. Negative day one. So my 2 surgeries, it took 2 intense surgeries, were fully covered by insurance, which again, never happens. Everyone
Who's your
always
carrier?
asks.
We need to know.
It's Kaiser, and they never cover these. I was the one case, again, 1 in a million. My body was deformed. It was not plastic surgery. It was putting me back to some semblance of normalcy. So again, I am happy to share those pictures. So I feel like I am a great candidate to talk about fertility issues and writing, because I do it all. It's really fresh in my mind. I needed the bike. Sometimes I chose a ride, and sometimes to this day, I choose the ride based on how much I need to cry that day. And I know that's okay. That's what I need to do. And there's certain instructors that, it's hard, because Robin was my go-to. And I now have to be in a different mindset to ride with her. It's hard staring at a pregnant body for 45 minutes, whatever, 20 minutes. Like, it's just hard. Maybe it's too fresh for me. I know logically that her baby doesn't mean that there's one less baby out there. Like, I get that. That's her baby. I don't want her baby, but it's just at a time when I just want my medicine. I don't want to have to also deal with some of that too. But it just resonates when the instructors say to me, whatever doesn't break you makes you stronger. I get up that hill even more. I love those instructors, not shouting in my ear, but they're just pumping me up to push forward, use my experience. And this is who I am. These are the cards I was dealt. How am I going to do? How am I going to now play my hand? Like I could cry every day. I'm no longer like, that was it. That last baby that I terminated, that was my last shot. And I'm 42, about to be 43. And I now can say I have my family here. This is who I meant to have here. And it's the girls. Now we have a little gym set up in the garage, and we had that set up prior to quarantine. Actually, I was having surgery in 2020. I had my second surgery on January 2020. We ordered the tonal in November, December. And I remember like, oh, I should just get it delivered in April. Like I can't use it till April anyways. Why am I going to get it delivered before then? And my husband's like, well, maybe I'll use it. Who knows? Let's just get it and we'll have it. And we got it delivered December 31st, 2019. And then the world shut down. So somehow it all worked out.
You snuck that in under the wire.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for you, that kind of came at a very incredible time. I'm sure that was necessary. Has the community continued to support you as you've gone through these different things? Have you shared? Have you told people what's going on?
I haven't shared about the miscarriage. I just didn't want that I didn't know how Peloton would feel about that. Probably not too thrilled, even though whatever. I mean, yes, the friends that I have made through Peloton and now Tonal, like, are my real friends. We check in all the time, sometimes more than other friends. So, and the fact that I didn't know about these secret private Facebook groups, like now I'm in them all, the molar pregnancy, the diastasis, the pregnancy because of medical needs. Like I go through my scroll and I'm like, oh, what is that? Oh, that's a baby, not a baby. Like I see it all. And yeah, I mean, for being a surrogate, for the diastasis, I was able to find all of my people through all this community. I mean, I am a member of a lot of Facebook groups for the Peloton. I mean, the Tonal is just getting started, right, with their little breakout groups, but there's so many with Peloton, and I'm in a bunch, and yeah, it keeps me busy. Like it's just somebody to reach out to, somebody who gets it in all of these different facets, whatever I'm feeling in that day. I know I can reach out to someone. I really needed Christine on one of her rides. She just kept saying, I think when she was talking about her cancer situation, she just said, we just keep getting up. We fall down, we get down, we get back up. We keep getting up no matter what. And I needed all these words. I am being held up by this, by you guys, by the clip out. Listen, I listen to the clip out every single week. It's just part of my week. It's one of those benchmarks, things that I do to help keep me on my path. I listen to this, I listen to the superset. Like there's so much listening going on when I'm doing dishes or laundry, or like I'm in the Tonal book club. Like I can't keep up with all the listening that I need to do, but I do. I get to it all because it's important to me, and it's my little therapy in my ear. It's my friends in my ear. It is what it is.
That's nice. It's weird to think like we just sit here in our basement and prattle on, and it's weird to think that it's having that sort of impact for someone out there. So thank you for letting us know that.
For me, my kids, yes. I know you always ask about favorite instructors, but I wanted to talk about my favorite classes.
Okay, that's different.
I have two classes that are just standouts. So one is Beck's marathon running, outside running class, her Women's History Celebration Run. That's what it's called. Women's History Celebration Run outdoor from March 8th.
Is this the one where she tells the story of
Catherine Switzer?
Yes. Okay, continue.
I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Even if you're doing dishes and you don't want to go for a run, I don't care. This is a story that I had no idea what the plot was. I have since shared it with everybody I know. It is.
I told you all about it.
You did.
I made Tom listen to the whole story. I mean, I didn't make him listen to the actual class, but I repeated all of the details. I was like, "Did you know?"
and so many people don't know about this story. So please,
it's true.
Listen to it. Okay, and then the other one is just a random 10-minute Kristen McGee yoga flow.
Okay.
I use this I've probably taken the class over 100 times.
Wow.
And I don't love repeating classes, except this class. This class, this is the first thing I do in the morning to just wake up my body, whether it's before I go on a ride, before I go on tonal, whatever. It is 10 minutes. It hits everything so well. It is July 9th, just a regular intermediate yoga class. Kristen McGee, 10 minutes, July 9th. And the funny thing is, I started taking this class obviously at the same time every single day and noticing that there's this one other woman who also took that class every day, same time. And we started to high five each other. And I remembered it because my sister's name is Stacy and she spells it EY. And so did this person, and her leaderboard name, I don't know because I don't know where she is now, or maybe I went off on my schedule a little bit potentially. So I think it's Stacy with an EY 1971. If you're out there, thank you. It was just a little high five of yay us. And that really helped. So those are my two classes, but I do everything on Peloton. I do everything on Tonal too. Actually, I remember you first talking about Tonal and you sharing the name of the coaches. Yeah. And I felt like a 3-year-old kid going, covering my ears. And I didn't want to hear other names of coaches when you were saying their names. Cause I loved my Peloton. I don't need any more coaches in my life. Yeah. But
I'm not going to cheat.
Right. But now, you know what? There's room for them all.
That's right.
And it just I use this coach for this coach for that. Ross gets me to sleep like nobody else. Ross for sleep.
That voice.
I don't know.
Magic.
Kristen yes, bring him on. I have gone through all the sleep meditations by Ross. And even though I haven't heard them all to the end, I still, for some reason, get bummed repeating them. Even though there's so many in the library.
Start them later. Start later into them.
No, you
had
to ease in.
Wonder what it is. Yes, I just I need to. Yeah. So if you're out there, please, you can do 100 more and it's not enough. But for Bar and Hannah, there's certain instructors. I love them on the bike, but them for Bar. Allie's feel good ride. Yes. Makes me feel good. I'm sitting there actually writing down her, she gives riddles and I want to share them with my kids afterwards. And so it's distracting because I want to remember them. So I write them down on my phone during the ride, but yet I want to ride, but yet I want to share them with my kids.
Just write down the time code and then pull it up later on your iPhone.
Yes.
That's why she's a project manager.
There you go.
That's how her mind works. I turn it into a dick joke, but she
keywords. Yes.
Yeah. We all have
that.
Yeah.
That could save me some time. So those are my favorite instructors. I just can't get enough. I don't know. I'm a Pelotoner until they stop. Like I love the variety. I love, and I guess I should say too that especially with introducing tonal, my Peloton journey has shifted. And so now I'm taking more 20-minute classes, 30-minute classes, or their endurance rides. And whatever it is I need for Peloton, it's there. Like I remember
that's the great part
doing
about
5-minute warm-up.
Yep. That's the great part about Peloton. It doesn't matter what your fitness journey is because they will always meet you where you are. That's the great thing about it.
I also wanted to mention, it must have been 2019 or so when I was fresh with the bike and I was at Disney World one time and I had a little Peloton sticker on my water bottle and someone came up to me, and these were different times. People didn't talk about the Peloton. And she was big into Power Zone. And I was like, what's Power Zone? I don't get it. Like, if you walk me through it, you lady that I don't know, I will try anything. And I don't remember her name, but anyways, we texted for a while, totally got me into Power Zone. I was doing a bunch of those challenges for a while. Like, there's just so much. I did do strength on Peloton before the tonal. It's great. It's fine. There's features of tonal that, it's just very different. But so you can look up my profile on Peloton and see the number of classes I've taken. And yes, I really have taken all of those classes and made it through all of them except the sleep.
What is your leaderboard name for everyone to be able to look up your profile?
So I am not great at branding. So I do have different names in different places. So I'm going to point everybody to my Instagram where I do give my Peloton name there. So my Instagram is plant.strong.debra, plant.strong.debra. And I post all of my workouts as posts. It's for me. I mean, I'm in the tonal book club and they talk about like having some sort of diary for your habits. And this is my personal diary of every single day that I've worked out and I haven't missed a day. And so you can look up my information when you go to plant.strong.debra. And if you follow me, I'll follow you back on any platform. Yes, that I've listened to this podcast so much. I also have advice for the.
You don't even need us.
I know.
Anymore.
Like, I feel like you could just interview yourself.
Do you want to ask me anything?
Let's pretend like we're actually doing it. So like, hey, this just popped into the old noggin. Do you got any advice for people that just got a Peloton?
Funny you ask. So here's my advice. I have things I want to say. I'm going to go through the first because that's my main one. I hope it's 4. Actually, I don't know why I wrote 4. Okay, number 1, no decisions the day of the workout. I lay out my clothes, my water bottle. I fill up my water bottle even. I pick my classes and whether it's I bookmark them, stack them. I use the app a lot, so I actually schedule them. I don't think you can do that feature on the bike yet for whatever reason.
I know.
Yes, it's coming, I'm sure. But so I schedule them, not necessarily for the reminders, because I am somebody who just works out no matter what. But because it just makes it easier to find them, I go right to my schedule and boom, 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 there they are in order. And it just eliminates that whole, the choices. Because when you're scrolling through, do I take this? Do I take that? And I just made a deal with myself that even if something else looks good or better or whatever, like, no decisions the day of the workout. And I might make a mental note that I take it later or whatever, but yes, no decisions.
Okay, so hang on. I've got to put on my lawyer hat for a minute. No decisions the day of the workout means that you can only work out every other day.
But after I finish the workout, sometime during the day, I pick
plan.
But that's the decision that day.
Not for the same day I'm working out.
You said no
That's
decisions.
what I.
This is what living with him is like.
It is what it is.
It's all
So,
the
like,
time.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the main one. I don't know why I thought I had 4, but other things I wanted to say was that know that you can't do anything wrong with your Peloton workouts. And I think when I first got the Peloton, I didn't know which classes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. What do I do? What do I do? I mean, movement is movement. Yoga, bar, Pilates, just take a class and move. But I also recognize, like, just day 1, week 1, like clipping in. Yes, there is a process to learning all of that stuff. I remember not knowing what all the numbers were on the screen at all. Even forget about the leaderboard. Like, I didn't even get those main numbers. And I heard Tunde say in one of her rides recently, she said, resistance starts with R. R stands for road. And that made a little bit more sense to me. So all these little things that I take for granted at how easy it is for me to pick my classes. And one thing that I do now is I filter my classes, and I like to filter for like the hardest classes or the most popular classes. But if you're new, like, filter the 20-minute ride to the easiest class. Like, no judgment, nobody cares. You're going to get there eventually. Just keep moving. And then the last piece of advice is to get involved in all the different groups. And obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, like, you are getting involved. And so that's the advice that I give myself, essentially. That's it.
Awesome. That's a lot.
That was
you
a
came
lot.
loaded for bear.
You did.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher. Like, I'm in the Peloton teacher group too. I'm a teacher. That's what we do.
You set up a lesson plan for today.
Maybe.
You do it in Spanish.
That's true.
I am a Spanish teacher.
Yeah. I know. I can tell by your email address.
Yes, your email address is that way.
It's just like, oh no. This could be difficult.
Actually, because of you guys, I forgot to mention, I'm going to be on the Best Advice podcast.
Look at that.
Because you guys talked about it.
Awesome.
That's funny. You did better than we were supposed to be on there, and they never reached out.
Never reached out.
You're doing better than us.
Gosh, the guy Zach is so nice. Email him. I'm sure he wants you on. So because I heard that on your pod, he's a Peloton fan for sure. But he knew that I heard about the podcast through you, the Best Advice podcast. I'll be talking about my best advice for learning another language because I'm a Spanish teacher.
That's awesome.
Look at that.
Forgot about that big connection.
That is awesome.
That's airing July 7th, I was told.
Oh, just a few days. Okay.
Yeah. Sweet. Oh, well done.
Yeah, very well done. Congrats.
Yeah.
You're podcasting all over the place.
You're all over the place.
Didn't know I loved podcasting. Here I go. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. We really appreciate it. And thank you for sharing your story. I know it's a difficult one, and we appreciate it.
We do. We really do. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Go right back to you guys.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. What, pray tell, do you have in store for people next week?
Next week, we are going to talk to Jessica Minardi, who came very highly recommended. And I greatly enjoyed her interview.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to share it.
So until then, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram and Twitter and the bike and, of course, the tread at Clip Out Crystal.
Awesome. And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And of course, don't forget our YouTube channel, youtube.com/theclipout. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling.
And running.
Clip in, set yourself free.